Meet Mike Wilson in Wales and me, Harmony Gates, in California in Mondays with Mike. Drop in on our wise, warm, spontaneous discussions where we explore the deep stuff of life, revealing the wisdom, insight, and truth that lives in us. Discover resources for living and sharing your fullest aliveness and for enhancing your capacity for safe, comfortable, emotionally connected relating.
What's your pleasure in terms of our purpose here together?
Hmm. I was thinking about that beforehand, and I didn't have a clear picture. I probably talked about this a bit before, right back in before my early teens, the summer of love, 1967. So I'd have been 10. So I was a bit young to appreciate what was going on.
Yeah.
But what came out of that sort of carried on through the 70s. It influenced the music, particularly
Yeah. Yeah.
teenage culture. We talked all the time about peace and love, and it was in the
Yeah.
music. So that seemed to looking back, I think that spoke to me more loudly than it did to most of my contemporaries.
Interesting. So that's a
So I
good.
carried on into adult life with this attachment to the idea of peace and love. And if you'd have said, "What does that mean?" I'd have struggled to come up to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean? How do we do peace?
Yeah.
And and it was only when I discovered MVC that I changed it. So now I say that core value is non-violence.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
suddenly it makes sense. Ah,
Yeah.
that's how we do it. So
Uh-huh.
it isn't passive. It isn't meek and mild. It's active and engaging.
Right.
But suddenly so then reading Mickey's book, and she's talking about about finding solutions that work for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
even when people are passionately opposed to each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that this really connects all the way back to when I was 10, 11, early teens, 13, 14, all that music and that.
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
go back again and look at my purpose? Is my purpose actually to spread some peace and love in the world? To show
Yeah.
at least somebody that there's a different way of doing. There are other ways of living than the ways that we have been mostly been told in this civilization.
Right.
So I
That's
basically write back questioning no, not my vision, but questioning my purpose.
yeah.
So the
Yeah.
vision's the same, the
Like
purpose
what your
is
purpose
questioned.
kind of tells you gets you more to your action or and then your mission is kind of how you go about uh bringing that purpose
Mm,
alive, I think, for yourself.
yeah. So
I
I was a certification candidate for the CNVC for a while. I was always clear that I didn't want to be doing foundation weekends, just teaching people the basics of MVC, but I did want more MVC out there,
yeah.
more people to be aware of it, more people to have some idea that the way that we've been taught to live is not the only way.
So you see that NVC is one avenue that can support the vision. It could be like a purpose thread for you to actively help people find a way to live peacefully.
Mm. It's one of the ways that I see it is that Marshall offered an alternative theory of human nature. So I think the human nature or the theory of human nature that is it's basically an assumption that people probably don't realize there might be others. But the theory seems to be that humans are pretty awful creatures who have to be coerced into doing the right thing.
Yes. And
So Marshall's theory is that we all have the same universal human needs and we're all doing our best to meet those needs.
yeah, I agree. There's even the Darwinian theory about survival of the fittest.
Mm,
Cutlers, we think it's all competition. This is very
yeah.
much in the
It's
assumptions of the
entirely
culture.
misunderstood, because that's Darwin was those best adapted to their environment. So it's not
Right.
necessarily the fittest or the strongest or the fastest; it's the ones best adapted to the environment. And it
Yeah.
may well be that a different theory of human nature would suit us better to have the environment of living on planet Earth in a way that future generations could live on planet Earth.
Yeah. You know,
Less
I'm
competition.
what I'm tempted to do with you here. I'll invite it because it keeps coming back as I'm listening. So when I was sharing last week about my passion for the podcast,
Mm,
I remember it was a lot
mm,
about that. I was
yep.
trying to remember what we talked about. And you suggested a topic, and I don't think I have it right now to read, but it was something like asking people what was like the most alive, what brought you what point in your life, or what were you doing that brought you the most alive in your life.
Most connected to life. Yeah.
Yeah, to
Mm,
recall that. And I'm thinking, although what I'm hearing you say is like maybe NVC strategy, like Mickey and like Marshall, is this way to go. I kind of want to bring it back to you and say, maybe that question, if you drop in and explore it with me and share it, might um, might might bring you some information about
mm.
yourself.
About
Yeah.
the time I was most.
Yeah.
Yeah. That well. I mean that is a very easy question to answer,
Oh, good. Let me
because
hear.
it was those last weeks that I spent with Linda Joy.
See, so that's rich. And that I
Mm,
think is something, if you uh, recall and sort of relive that a little with me, um, I, as a witness, might see or observe something that you're not even really seeing in yourself.
mm. Are you happy for us to continue to use our time together for this? Good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Um, the only choice that I made that perhaps led into what emerged between us
Mm-hmm.
was a few months or 2 months before. I'm not sure if you've heard this before or not, but
It's fine if it's twice, and take your time, and we
yeah.
might need another whole session. So I don't
Mm,
need you to rush or get to the bottom line. I really want to hear it out as much as you can.
it's,
Yeah.
it connects. I heard this is something I heard Mickey say afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
which had me making those aha. There was a moment where I chose to go against my upbringing, my culture. And it was the moment while Linda Joy, she was still fairly healthy. She went on a holiday to Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew she was dying. She was becoming more frail, but she could still get around. And she used to go to Morocco regularly. She was a keen folk dancer, and there was a centre there where she used to go most years, and she taught folk dancing
I want to
and folk
pause you. I want to pause you because my
mm,
brain kind of wants to know, who is Linda Joy in your life? Like, how is it that you
mm.
knew her or know her, and just something in a little bit of information there for me, so I can kind of, yeah.
So we met at a an MVC retreat,
Mm-hmm.
which was led by Kelly Bryson, who's normally in
Uh-huh.
California, I believe.
I know Kelly. Yeah.
And so he came to the UK and did this retreat. And so then for a few years, we moved in the same circle of friends. So we would hang out from time to time. So we were friends. We weren't close friends, but we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And later, we were both We were both interested in the idea of starting an intentional community,
Okay.
and we were both thinking that we didn't want to live alone and we didn't particularly want partners.
Right.
So we rented a house together.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who didn't know us, who was observing us from the outside, probably assumed that we were partners or husband and wife. We were living together in the same house.
Right. But you found, I'm going to stop you for a second. You found
Mm,
that you had similar needs and wanted a similar kind of lifestyle.
mm,
And you moved in together, which is also a little bit out of the ordinary for what the culture tells you when two people move
yeah,
in together,
because we
right?
weren't partners or lovers or what
So
have
you
you.
were saying, well, let's just share a house and,
Mm.
you know, um, see if we can create this dream for each of us together, like supporting each other and sharing resources and, right? Something like
We
that.
sort of fell into that.
Uh huh.
And I didn't put this together till afterwards, but I realized now looking back that it was simply good fortune that we both found the other very easy to live with. We both lived life at a similar pace.
So that's an important
Um,
piece right there, I
yeah,
think.
I didn't
And
realize how important it was at the time.
right,
It was a happy accident.
when you say you fell into it, what does that mean? How do we fall into something like that?
There was there was no conscious choice made. I just carried on with my life as I would have been if I was living alone. And so far as I'm aware, Linda Joy carried on with her life as she would have done if she was living alone. And it simply happened that we were both living at about the same pace.
What was what happened that you starting off living separately, getting to know each other a little, but got a house together? Like that seems like a big piece right there, especially not knowing that you're gonna be on the same pace and it's gonna work out. There's something there that didn't just fall into place. Something
It kind of did.
did it.
Yeah, we've been
Interesting.
talking about the idea, and one day she came. She said, there was a man that she knows slightly. He owns a house in there's the same village where I was living at the time.
Uh
He
huh.
owns a house in the village. He's planning to retire there, but not
Mm-hmm.
yet. So we could rent it for a year or so.
So she came with an idea.
So she had that idea from that she just heard on the grapevine or met in conversation. He was another musician. They probably met at a concert or a gig. I honestly don't know. So I guess we were both already living far enough outside the normal that it wasn't it wasn't difficult to think we could do that. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, for many people, it would be far too big a deal. It would just be
It's
too weird.
almost a bit of convenience that you could move in together, it sounds like.
Hmm. It was very convenient and very easy because the place was like right there, a mile from where I was living at the time.
Yep. Yeah. That's an interesting, to me, that in itself is interesting that something happened really easy without a lot of
Hmm.
struggle or work or, right? Here it was. It just sort of like no brainer. Yeah. And I'm seeing some
And as
pieces.
it continued, as we were living together, it continued. It was easy.
Yeah. It was easy from almost the start when you met this person, it seems like.
Hmm.
Right from the beginning, there was this easy friendship. There was shared values. There was some kind of shared pacing that maybe you weren't even aware of until you actually moved in together and went, look at this. Our pace is even the same. Our
I
rhythm.
don't think I recognised the significance of the pace being the same until after she died. I think it might have been months, even a year later, that I had one
Yeah.
of those moments. That's why it was easy. Yeah.
So that's
There was also a
significant.
sense that I realised afterwards that if we were both, because neither of us worked full time,
Mm-hmm.
so we were hanging around the house together a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
or not together. We'd be in different rooms, but there was a sense for me that I was aware she was there, even if I couldn't hear her. I was aware she was in the house. It was as though we were holding the space for each other.
Yep. You
We were
weren't
holding
alone.
awareness of each other, even because it was quite a big house. So you could be at opposite ends of the house and not know somebody was there.
Mm. Take a breath. I want to,
Mm.
I think there's something there. Ah. Mm. So this seems to me significant that hmm,
It was certainly a very valuable learning. And if I ever considered sharing with people again, I would think very carefully about what their pace of life is.
right.
Because I've
What
certainly
about
known sort of high energy, busy, hectic
yeah,
people, and I don't even want to be around them.
right. So we've nailed that. There's a pace synchronization that's important, very important if
Mm,
you're gonna share that kind of it's really intimacy. You're in the same living space with someone and aware of their presence. So you don't really ever walk in there uh, unaware that there is another person that lives there and is sort of you're connected in some way. I'm
mm.
curious what your words would be for that kind of feeling. You've named it, but um, but we haven't quite really named it.
Mm. There was yeah, I guess we were both sort of easily, yeah, I think I would say we were easily holding consideration for the other. So there wasn't a sort of high like I must be kind and gentle. I must make an effort to live to share with this person and not upset them. It was just a very easy, natural, effortless, kind of graceful. There's a
Yeah.
gracefulness to it.
Yeah. It's like I'm trying to find the first word. There's something about willing inclusion, but it's better than willing. It's more like
Mm,
um, appreciatively including almost, or I wonder what word we might find for that. That uh,
mm.
it's almost joyful inclusion, you know?
It's still because it seemed to we seem to fit together so easily. That's why I kind of attached to the word graceful.
Graceful's lovely. I
Mm,
um so but that still feels almost like maybe a bit of an outcome because I'm thinking that there's two sides. Um one is this works really easily and the other one is recognizing that it works and I like it. And so I
mm.
have a certain attitude towards it that I bring that reflects but also feeds into the relationship.
So the attitude that I brought just came naturally. It was so it connected with. That's it. That's an interesting point. Actually, it connected with some core longings of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't made it a connection in that way. It's like I always wanted to live that way, and it always went wrong
Yeah.
because people weren't kind and caring and considerate.
Yeah.
People's trauma showed up in a particular way, and then there was harshness and cruelty,
Yeah.
unkindness.
Yeah.
And
And
neither of us, I think, had trauma showing up in that way. So we were able to continue to be
yeah.
kind, considerate.
And you had a corrective experience. you've had all this trying to be that, but it doesn't work. It looks like it's impossible. This is human nature. And then you land
Mm,
in this space that actually gives you the longing and says, yes, this is possible. Check it out.
mm.
Happening.
This is really interesting. I hadn't ever thought this before, because I think a number of times in different kinds of friendships and sharing and what have you, it's gone terribly wrong. And
Yeah.
because I mean, I think I've learned more in since that I'm making assumptions about how it's going to be, and the other person is not necessarily making the same assumption,
Ah, so agreements and assumptions aren't like,
which is why I suddenly became very interested in agreements.
yeah,
If we make agreements.
yeah,
So as it happened, Linda Joy and I didn't need to make agreements. I think our assumptions fit together nicely. We were both
right.
thinking we would like that sort of easy gentleness, the easy kindness from each other,
Yeah,
and there it was.
yeah. And so easy, in fact, that it could be easy to miss how important it is to have that
Mm.
established in order to manifest the kind of space that meets your longing.
That may, I say may, that surely
Yeah,
fed into because then this through the time that she was dying, it sort of fed into this in deeper and deeper trust and emotional intimacy and
right.
that emerged between us.
So there's this foundation.
If we hadn't had though that period before, 6 or 7 months that we fell into that discovering
Yeah,
happily that we lived at about the same frequency,
yeah,
then we easily fell into something far outside my experience. Nothing like that had ever happened to me before.
yeah. It was so much easier to just follow that trust and that, your heart, even, if you want to
Mm.
call it that.
So we ended up in a quality of trust and connection. I had discussed in a practice group with the first MVC trainer that I met about how I'd been longing for a deeper, closer connection. And
Yep.
I remember I've had a certified trainer tell me that what I was talking about wasn't possible.
There you go. One more piece of the culture telling you,
Yeah.
and yet,
And so I was able to go back afterwards and tell them, actually, yes, it is possible. Been
you
there, done that.
you are hypnotized by the culture. I
Mm.
know a different experience that you may not be aware of.
If we find ourselves in a situation, as we did, where we are willing to completely and utterly trust the other person, that we can relax all of our defenses, we
Yeah,
find the most
yeah,
exquisite
yeah,
quality of connection.
yeah. I have chills completely,
Mm.
completely.
There
Uh,
is what,
it is possible.
yeah,
It is possible, and
Clinton
and
Callahan describes it.
this also reveals that probably most people don't even know it's possible. So they live
Mm,
this other way, right? They live as if it isn't
always a little
possible.
lonely,
Right.
always just a little bit of a shield between them
Yeah.
and the rest of the world, which
Yeah.
most of the time in this world is probably wise. But
Especially when everybody believes the same thing, that it's
mm,
impossible. Then you kind of have to be guarded because, everybody's sort of trying to, you know, uh,
any hint of vulnerability will be used against you.
exactly. So this feels really big to me.
Mm. This was the biggest deal of my life.
Yeah.
This was the sweetest friendship
Yeah.
perhaps ever.
Yeah.
So there was the moment in January where she came back from Morocco.
So pause a little longer. I think I
Mm,
need to pause a little longer. I'm going to ask you to just
mm,
land a little more. I want to land a little more in that the sweetest friendship, the deepest longings being met. This is so, this is, this is the stuff of Hafiz and Rumi. And,
mm.
this is really, really,
The bit I'm leading up to telling you is the
your poem. I
kind
know.
of the climax of that, if you like.
I know. And I'm wanting, for some reason, it's almost like in the same way that you created the foundation without even really knowing you were doing that, but that's what
Mm.
you're doing with her, that is a necessary, um,
That's the bit that I hadn't appreciated until you asked or reveal helped me to reveal or revealed it this evening.
yeah,
Was that we built the foundation so that we could lead into that deeper trust.
yeah.
I hadn't considered the connected the two. That's really valuable. Mm.
I want to just really savor and deeply feel that myself so I can arrive there with
Mm.
you. This is trusting life.
Mm.
This is, it's a surrender, the surrender to trust.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm. And yeah, in this case, it's in relationship with another human being that it's bloomed for your uh, embrace, might be the word. Your full like, imp- yeah, your full. Hmm. Just yeah, defense is gone. Nothing to prove. Nothing to achieve.
Mm.
Just this open uh, being with and yeah, sort of in the absence of all the strategies to stay safe. There's a just a deep knowing of safety, of
Mm. experience of safety and trust with another human.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So you had that with a human, still do. She's still in your heart.
Mm.
Uh, and the experience is part of who you are. It's never going to be uh, refuted. And to me, the message is you can trust life. It isn't just in relationship with a human you trust. That's like a medicine experience.
And seemed to show me something that I'd long suspected was correct,
Yeah.
and in fact went beyond that, and showed
Yeah.
me that
Even
there was more to it than I realised
yeah.
or suspected.
Yeah.
It was quite different. The whole experience, particularly the last few weeks, was just so different to what I was expecting. So much richer.
Right. So expanded
Mm.
and deeper and just just such a deep dance. That's my term, but it's
Mm.
you know, of joining the dance of life fully as openly and willingly and trustingly and easily and beautifully.
Mm.
And even sustainedly.
Oh, there's so much more to say.
What a gift.
But,
What a gift.
I'd like to save some for another time.
Yeah, just breathe. Yeah, this feels pretty momentous, actually. I'm feeling,
It's I haven't properly revisited that experience in a while, and there's still
and how do you feel as you are even dipping in a little bit? How
mm,
is it for you?
feeling there's some kind of awe. I think
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I've real I kind of knew I had it in mind that that whatever the gift that Linda Joy brought to my life is, I still haven't seen it all. I haven't received it all yet. And then I think that's kind of what you just led me towards this evening. Is, yeah, there's a little bit more. There's
yeah.
another part to go back and look again. And say, oh yeah.
And it's your relationship with Linda Joy. It's not her or even you.
It's the
It's,
friendship.
yeah,
Mm, the
it's,
friendship that we created.
yeah. And that is the peace, both ways of saying the word. It's an element, but it's also, isn't that the peaceful planet that you want to live on?
Mm,
Isn't that your vision? That
pretty much, yeah.
that
Yeah.
that energy of
energy of trust and
Yeah.
care and safety.
And how you feel in that energy, that
Mm.
open, expanded, alive, ease.
And that which this quality that was Linda Joy's that she brought was that willingness that she would go towards her death with both eyes open.
Yeah. So
She wasn't denying anything. She wasn't running from the experience. The doctor held out the possibility of some chemo that would have given her some extra time, and she said, "I'd just be dying." Well, she didn't say it. She kind of implied it. She'd just be dying for a bit longer.
yeah.
The extra time wasn't going to be 6 months of happy, healthy living. It was just going to
Right.
be ill and dying for a few months longer. She refused it. I was taking her home from the hospital and we were just on the road, and she said, we were only a few minutes in the hospital. She'd just seen the oncologist.
Yeah.
Turned out for the last time, she said, "That's it, take me home. I'm not going back to hospital. No more treatments, no more biopsies."
So she trusted.
Mm.
She trusted life and her own
Her
involvement
own
in it
process, yeah.
and her own process, and was willing to just trust it and accept it the same way she accepted the relationship with you and what evolved with that, right? It's
Mm.
another big yes. I don't have to control it. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to resist it. I'm just going to open my arms and be with life as it comes to me. Even acknowledging that death is part of life as it
Mm.
comes, right?
That's the part that I haven't really fathomed,
Yeah,
that we wouldn't have had that experience if she wasn't dying. And that part of that whole richness of
yeah,
that close meeting with life was wrapped up in someone's death.
yeah, yeah. That the biggest fear on this planet and with human beings is death. That's
Mm.
what we clench against the most. And she said, okay, that too is part of life.
Stephen Jenkins has said the cradle of your love of life is death.
Yeah.
To be, I think, my own understanding is that to be wholly alive and to love life is to see it for what it is, and it has an end.
Yeah, I will not die an unlived life.
Mm. And sometime afterwards, Guyana, who was one of the trainers around here, said that Linda Joy let me in. So her experience of her dying, she said, she let you in. I said, yeah, that's as close an encounter with death that I could have without
Yeah,
dying.
yeah,
She allowed me in, and I agreed to go there with her.
yeah. She danced with you all the way until
Mm.
what we call death, which we don't even know what that is. Perhaps she's still dancing with you. What do we know about that?
Mm.
You know? Why wouldn't she be?
There's something around that experience, and also, and it was the timing was fortunate. I found myself in the right place with the right people where I could fully express my grief,
Mm,
and really howling and howling.
mm, mm.
And that experience, I think, that proper full expression of grief is part of the whole experience. And I my it's my belief that there's some, that in some way in that hasn't happened with anybody else that I've known that's died, but that I have a very clear sense that there's something around the friendship that continues 5 years after she died. And I think having that experience, that quality of friendship, and the willingness to grieve, to go to the sadness and express it
and
rather than try and deny it,
and to know how
help.
deeply you valued that relationship,
Mm,
how deeply you value it, how much it means to you, not meant to you, it means to you
mm,
to have that intimate a container for seeing and being with and being seen and being with and not having to be anything but yourself.
mm. Hey, listen, it's 10 past.
Yeah, do you need to jump off? I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I'm well, I was tired at the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm I
okay.
think if I carry on now, I'm going to stop taking it in.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
it's a
Good to
sort of,
know.
it's a useful quantity of
All right.
an hour or so is a useful quantity of time, and we've uncovered a lot and nothing new. It's not strange. We've gone back to something I know well and found
Yeah,
more treasure in the places I'd already looked.
more depth, more expansion,
Yeah.
more life. Yeah.
Mm. And there's more to tell.
Hmm. Hmm? And there's always
There's
more.
more.
There's always
Not
more.
now, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Later. Yeah. And this is my intention for today was to really be here with you. And so this has really deeply met my need to
Mm. Oh, wow, that was precious. Thank you very much. Mm. Yeah, no obligation,
right.
no
No
sense of
pressure.
duty.
Right.
Absolutely open-hearted choice all round.
Yes.
What we choose to
Absolutely.
do.
That's it. Ah,
Mm.
yes. Oh. So now closure.
Yeah.
Closure. Mm.
See, we didn't record that.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I
Mm.
just noticed we're going to rely on memory.
We can trust
Some
it.
things don't need recording or writing down. The memories are strong enough on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
Mm. Yes, one of those. There we are.
Push it toward the screen.
Oh, okay.
Release the hands,
Mm.
and then let it all open up. Thank
Ah.
you.
Thank you for spending this time with us. If you liked this podcast, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay with us. And tell us what you thought of this episode. We love to read your thoughts in the comments section.